Hello, my name is Jose Felix. Today I will be discussing to you where our money can go within the church system, what impact it makes within the church social justice system, and does the government have restrictions within that system when it comes to the millions and millions that we donate every Sunday. 11 years ago, my family moved from St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. We were surrounded by so many different denominations and cultures. All saw faith in action everywhere. However, when COVID-19 hit in 2020, the world came to a standstill. I was questioning everything, my purpose between balancing businesses, family, faith, and then came the George Floyd tragedy in May of that year. It was only minutes away from where my wife grew up in South Minneapolis. We did not know how we felt at that moment. Questions started to arise for me. Should churches speak out politically? Does the government have laws that restrict their role? What are we doing with the money with social justice? In the Bible, in Galatians 1:10, it says, "Am I trying to please people or am I trying to please God?" That verse really hit home to me because it reminds me of how easy it is to get caught up in what people think, especially when faith, politics, they can collide. But at the end of the day, our calling isn't to win the approval of people. It's to live by our convictions and do what's right before God. I was raised with that notion of treat people how you want to be treated. A lot of people do not follow that, but it's something that I live by. I still live by it. Teach it to my kids. We preach it in our home. Churches that meet under the requirements under the IRS 501c3 nonprofit code are exempt from taxes as long as they focus on religious purposes and avoid major political involvement. If you violated these rules, it could mean that you could lose your status. But in July of 2025, the IRS clarified that churches can now endorse political candidates without losing that tax exception. It's like comparing it to the private family discussion rather than political campaigning. If you're in your congregation and you're just having a conversation, that's okay. You can do that. It was frowned upon before, but not anymore. Historically, churches, they relied on tithes and offerings, but innovation has always shaped how they receive funds. From pew rentals from the 18th century to now modern day donations like ATMs and things of that nature. As author James Bueller explained, giving has always reflected broader financial and cultural trends. The message and the comparison of the pastor directly influences generosity, bleeding, faith, and finance. Early churches, they often struggled to find themselves after losing the state support financially. It took some time, but over time, fundraising evolved into stewardship, campaigns, and mission-based giving. Many modern churches allocate today significant funds to community aid, everything from re-entry programs from prison to hurricane relief, to showing how financial stewardship can drive social change, to single mothers, to so many programs, especially depending on where you're at. But as churches grow, especially from small congregations to thousands of followers, it becomes a mega church. And that's where the need for ethical leadership becomes very critical. Because without strong checks and balances, the line between faith and corruption can be very blurred. It's a little murky. Cases like the Mars Hill Church and the Willow Creek Church, they demonstrated that money and power without accountability can damage both mission and message. So, ultimately the government, it has limited reach within churches now and how they operate, I learned. The real challenge, I come to conclusion, it lies within choosing churches that match our values and people. The churches that are transparent in finances, they're explaining what they're doing with their money and are grounded in truth. And as I've learned through faith, funding, and freedom, are powerful only when they're led with action, integrity, and you get to choose. So I challenge you, choose wisely where you donate. Choose wisely where you give. You make the impact, not the government. It's up to you, and it's okay. You don't always have to agree, but just respect. As long as social justice is the key aspect, the key ingredient, we can make a difference.